Okay, hello everyone, and welcome to another video. So in this video we'll be treating a specific trick. Okay, will help this technique will help you find the respective forces. Okay, whenever you are given the force with respect to x and y axis, but at specific angles. Okay, right. So this is a short video. In case this video end up being helpful to you, I'll urge you to subscribe to the channel, like the video, so that the algorithm will help push the video to other students who might need this technique to augment their studies. And then share, and then let me know your questions in the comment section, and I'll reply to them as soon as possible. Okay, right. So in case you are given any question, okay, of this format, okay, so let me just clear this one out. And then let's say you have something like this, okay, right, and then you are given a specific force. Okay, let's say this is what 10 newtons. Okay, this is 10 newtons. Okay, and then you have an angle over here. Okay, this angle is let's say 30 degrees. Okay, right, and then you have to take the forces along the x axis, and then the forces along the y axis. Okay, this is a technique you will need to implement. Okay, first you will notice that, kindly listen to this portion attentively. Okay, right, so you could notice that this is the x axis. Okay, this is the y axis. Okay, this is the positive y, positive x, and then we have negative y, and then we have negative x axis. Okay, right, so since we have the angle over here, okay, so the angle is in between the x axis and the force. Okay, listen to that portion attentively. The angle is in between the x axis and the force, which is 10 newtons. Okay, and then whenever you have to take the forces along the x axis, since the angle is in between the x axis and the force, you use cos. Okay, so this will be 10 newtons cos 30 degrees. Okay, 10 newtons cos 30 degrees. So this will be the force along the x axis. Okay, now when you take the force along the y axis, okay, for the force along the y axis, since the force is not in between the y axis, since the angle is not in between the y axis and the force, okay, we use sine. Okay, so this will be 10 sine of 30 degrees. Okay, so let me repeat this portion of the trick again. Note that whenever you are taking the force along the x axis, okay, and then you notice that the angle is in between the x axis and the force, just like this one, okay, you use cos, okay, for the x axis. Okay, and then whenever you are taking the sum of forces along the y axis, and then the angle is between the x axis and then the force, you use sine. Okay, so let me use another example so that it will become much clearer. Okay, so let's say we have this question. Okay, and then we have a certain force over here. Okay, we have a certain force. These are x axis, these are y axis. Okay, these are negative y, and then these are negative x, and then let's say this is 15 kilo newtons. Okay, and then we have an angle over here, okay, which is let's say 45 degrees. Okay, so whenever you are taking the force along the x axis, okay, note, since the angle is in between the x axis, okay, and then the force, okay, we use cos. Okay, so we have 15 kilonewtons cos of 45 degrees, and then you punch, then you find answer. Okay, and then when you take the angle along the sum of forces along the y axis, okay, since the angle, okay, is not in between the y axis, okay, and the the y-axis and the force. Okay, so since the angle is not in between the y-axis and the force, we use what? Sine. So we have what? Minus what? 15 kilonewtons sine of what? 45. Now let's look at the other case scenario. Okay, let's look at the other case scenario. Right, so we have this, okay, and then we have maybe this force, okay, and then we have this angle over here. Now this angle, let's say, is what? 45 degrees. Okay, we have a negative y, we have what? X, we have y, okay, and then we have what? Negative x-axis, right? So now let's take the force along the x and what? Y-axis. Okay, now since let's say this force is let's say this is what? 20 kilonewtons. Okay, now since this angle, okay, is in between the y-axis and the what? The force. Okay, it means that what? The force along the x-axis will be what? We'll take it with respect to what? Sine. Okay, so we have what? 20, okay, sine of what? 45. Okay, and then when we take the force along the y-axis, okay, since the angle is in between the y-axis, okay, and the what? The force, it becomes what? Cos. Okay, so we have what? Negative 20 kilonewtons, okay, and then we have what? Cos of what? 45 degrees. So this is how simple you could approach this. Whenever you are taking the force along the x and y axis, okay, and then you meet a question where you have the angle in between a certain axis and the force, that axis becomes what? Cos. You use cos for that axis. Okay, so just like here we have what? The force along the y-axis. Okay, the angle is in between the y-axis and the force. Okay, so this will be cos. So most definitely when you take the same force along the x-axis, the x-axis will be what? Sine. Okay, and then for this example, you could notice that the angle is in between the x-axis and what? The 15 kilonewtons. Okay, so it means that whenever you take the what? The force along the x-axis, will be what? Cos, but along the y-axis it will be sine. Okay, so this is what I wanted to prove to you. Even though the tutorial video I'll upload, or I've already uploaded, I would be stressing on using telling you to use the SOHCAHTOA. Okay, so most definitely you'll be using the Ka and the what? The So. Okay, this is for cosine and what? This is for sine. Okay, I might be stressing on using what? The Ka and the So. Okay, but once you watch this video, you notice that tutorial video will be very, very simple. Okay, right? So let me stress on this main trick again. This is the easiest way you could go by solving this question. Okay, right? So whenever you have the angle, okay, the angle falling in between the axis and then the force, that portion become what? Cos. So it means that whenever the angle falls in between x and what? The force, when you resolve the force along the x-axis, the x-axis will be what? Cos. Okay, and then whenever you have the angle falling between the y and the what? The force, whenever you resolve the forces for y-axis, it will be what? Force for the y-axis, just like here. Okay, so I hope this was very, very helpful. So let me add this simple another example. This is a bit complicated but very, very simple. Okay, right? So in case you are not given an angle, okay, and then you are given the question in this format, okay, so we have our x-axis, okay, we have negative x-axis, you have y and what? Negative y-axis. Okay, and then maybe you are given this force to be let's say 100 newtons. Okay, let's say it's 100 newtons. Okay, this force is 100 newtons. Now there are two ways to solving this question. Okay, it's either you use these values already given, okay, to solve the question, that's to resolve the question in respect to what? The x-axis and what? The y-axis, or you convert this into what? An angle. Okay, so let's look at the first case. So this is what we have what body, okay, we have this is 5, this is 4, and this is what 3, okay, 3, okay. So most definitely we know that this are what, this is where our angle will lie, okay, this is where the angle will lie, okay, right. So since the angle is over here, we have what 90 degrees over here. So most definitely you can use what car and what so, okay, you can use car and so. So when you take the car, that's the cosine, we have what cos theta is equal to what the adjacent all over the hypotenuse, and then we have what the sine theta being equal to what the opposite over what hypotenuse. Now since we have what the angle over here, means that these are opposite, okay, and then these are what adjacent, these are hypotenuse, okay. So this is what hypotenuse, this is opposite, and this is what adjacent. So when you take the cosine, okay, the cosine of this, will get what we have adjacent, okay, that's what 3, and what hypotenuse, which is what 5, okay. So when you compute this, okay, when you find the angle, that's you take the cosine inverse of what 3 on 5, you end up with a specific angle, okay. So let me just compute that, okay. So when you have what cos inverse of what cos inverse of 3 on what 5, okay, you end up with what 53.1, okay, 53.13, okay. So we have what 53.13 degrees, that's what cos, okay. And then when you take your sine, okay, so sine is what opposite hypotenuse, so this is what our opposite is what 4, and then we have what hypotenuse, which is what 5. So when you take the sine inverse of what 4 on 5, okay, we'll end up with what specific angle, okay. So surprisingly, when you take the sine inverse of 4 on 5, okay, 4 on 5, check out the answer, okay. When you take check out the answer, so we have what sine inverse of 4 on 5, okay, 4 on 5. So you could notice that we have the same angle, okay, you could notice that we have the same angle. So we have what 53.13. so this is one method of finding what the angle, okay. So it means that this body could be redrawn as what we have what 100 newtons, okay, and then this 53.3 will be here, okay, 53.13 degrees will lie between the what x-axis and the force, because this was where we located our what angle, okay, this was where we located the angle. So most definitely it's over here. So since the angle is here, it means that you could locate the angle over here, okay. So this one way to go by this, okay. And then by doing this, we have what when you resolve along the x and y axis, as I already showed you or illustrated, okay. So along the x axis, we have what, since the angle lies between the x axis and then the force, we have what 100, okay, cos 53.13, okay. You can compute that and then you find the answer. And then along the y axis, we have what the angle is not lying, okay, in between the y axis and the force, okay. So most definitely, since you know that this cos, most definitely the y axis will be what, along the y axis will be sine, okay. So we have what 100 sine of what 53.13, and then you compute your answer. This one way to go by that, okay. And there is another way, there's another formula you can implement, okay. Now in case you don't want to go by this method, maybe going around and then finding the angle along the cos and sine, okay, and then after that you come and compute or resolve the forces along the x and y axis, you can do it straightforward, okay, right. So you know that we already know that cosine is what, cosine of an angle is what the adjacent over the hypotenuse, and then we have the sine of an angle, okay, is equal to what? The opposite over what? Hypotenuse. Now, since you already know this, you can just implement the method over here. So you can just solve this straight ahead, okay, by not going through resolving the forces or finding the angle first and then substituting the angle over here. So you can just do it this way. So you can do it this way along the x-axis, which is equal to 0, okay. So along the x-axis we have what? This x, okay, this is your x-axis, okay, right. So along the x-axis we have 3, okay. This your x. Note that this x, this is y, okay. So let me use another color, okay. This is your y, okay. This is your y. This is along your y-axis, and then this is along your what? X-axis, okay. Keep that in mind. You could notice that this is a bit simpler than going around to find the what? The respective angles for cosine and then sine, okay. So whenever you are given specific questions like this, you could notice that this is your what? Your x-axis, okay, for this specific right angle triangle. This is your x-axis, and then this is your y-axis. So all you have to do is just insert them over here. So along the x-axis we have what? 100 newtons multiplied by what? The x-axis, which is what? 3. Note that we just divided 3 by what? The hypotenuse, okay, because along the x-axis we have what? Cosine, that's adjacent over what? Hypotenuse. So we have what? 100 multiplying what? 3 on what? 5. So this will give you the same answer just like this one, okay. This answer will be, it has to be equal. The answers have to be equal. And then along the y-axis you just simply use 4, okay. So we have what? 100 multiplying what? 4 on what? The hypotenuse, that's sine, okay. And then when you compute this answer has to be the same as this one, okay, right. So this, I hope this video was quite helpful. In case it was, I'll urge you to subscribe to the channel, like the video, turn on your post notification so that you don't miss out on any uploaded video, share, and then if in case you have any other questions, you can just leave them in the comment section. Reply to them as soon as possible. Have a love. Bye.